Good afternoon. I'm here to have a short talk today about what the fuck is balance in competitive Pokemon, and why do certain metagames not fit into that, and why do certain metagames fit into that. I was originally going to talk about why I believe anything goes is balanced, but I really looked into it and I found this Smogon post. What kind of metagame do we want? And it kind of just describes a lot of shit that you want in the metagame. The points are competitive, you should want to win it, which is like, you know, very obvious. I won't talk about that at all. Variety, and that goes hand in hand with balance. Variety is the metagame should have the widest possible variety of playing options and strategies that are viable and competitive to knowledgeable players. And balance is all viable playing options and strategies should be in competitive and balanced as possible in relation to each other. Those 2 points are the ones I want to talk about more than everything else, but I'll go through the rest of the post. Stability should have stable content that is consistent over time. That's really hard to tell. Adherence should adhere closely to as possible to the rules, mechanics, and spirit of the actual Pokemon game. To me, that means nothing. That's just word vomit. Spirit of actual Pokemon game doesn't really mean anything to me. Rules and mechanics, you know, yeah, we're just playing Showdown. Skill should require knowledge and practice, obviously. Better players should win more often than players that are worse than them, obviously. Luck, the metagame should have a reasonable degree of chance to affect all facets of gameplay and game outcomes. I guess when you say spirit of Pokemon, I guess this is kind of what, this to me is what that would mean. Efficiency. The metagame should be efficient as possible in execution, gameplay, and resolving outcomes. That's the same thing as, to me, as skill, the way that it's been described. I haven't read this post completely, of course. But the two that really interest me is variety and balance. And I would really like to talk about them, especially in relation to Generation 9 Anything Goes, which is the metagame that I don't know if you can say I put the most time into it. If you wanna really count that, it's probably Gen 9 OU is the one I've put the most time into in my entire life. Either that or maybe it is Anything Goes. Yeah, it's probably Anything Goes. Gen 9 Anything Goes. A lot of people would say when you ask them the question, is Gen 9 Anything Goes a good metagame? A lot of people would say no. But I want to say that Gen 9 Anything Goes has most of these. You want to win. There is probably a larger variety than any other tier, I'd say, in the history of Pokemon. That is that's a bold claim, I know, but there's a lot. Like, if you even watch the videos of me laddering Gen 9, it's just those actually. If you've even laddered Gen 9 yourself, you have seen, that's Anything Goes, by the way, not just all of Gen 9. You've seen some Pokemon you'd never even like considered. You've gone up against a team with 6 Miniors. That was the worst day of my life, and I lost to them. But unrelated. Is that balanced? Yeah. That's debatable. That's debatable. Stability, stable content that's consistent over time. You literally can't change the metagame. Nothing gets banned. Nothing is like restricted at all. You have everything. The only thing you can't do is use like multiple certain Pokemon, because you can't get them multiple times in game. Like Calyrex, you can only use one Calyrex. You can't even get Calyrex Ice Rider and Calyrex Shadow Rider on the same team. You can only have one. Sorry. Again, this doesn't mean anything to me. Skill. There's a ladder that people you know who are good at the game like me. Sorry, I thought that was really funny. I didn't say that. Good people win at Anything Goes, man. The better you are at Pokemon, the more likely you are to win. That's not just gameplay, that's team building. And of course, my team building is much more superior to my play. Luck, there's a lot of luck, you know. There's a lot of close damage rolls, I found. Efficiency. Again, that's just the same as skill to me, the way it's described. I haven't read the rest of this post. Maybe I should just scroll through it slowly. Alright, okay. I don't think the rest of it's very important to the point that I have. Balance and variety. I want to read these in more depth. As they say, variety is the spice of life. And nowhere is that truer than the world of gaming. This is a crazy sentence. By the way, I should have mentioned this first. I did in my last recording because it's the second time I'm recording this and I'm going insane more times. Maybe there'll be a third one. This is from January. This is 2010. A lot has changed in Pokemon in the past 15 years. Coming up to 15 years as well. From this post. A lot has changed because there's been so much power creep. There's so much change. There's so much change for what is good. Something that was good 15 years ago is in fucking ZU now. Can't think of an exact example, but whatever. And the Pokemon's gonna keep getting stronger, and it's gonna be more and more divisive. What is good in a metagame? What is desirable in a metagame? Things like that. Game makers discovered long ago that players crave diversity, change, and improvement. That's why the most successful games are very broad and constantly adding new elements. For this reason, a high-quality metagame should be inviting a wide number of people and personalities. By striving for the maximum variety, we can maximize the potential player base, which has the inevitable effect, increasing the number of good players, good strategies, and overall quality of competition. A varied metagame is fresh and exciting and provides a constant source of investigation and discovery. I feel like I've got nothing out of reading. If we limit variety or allow it to be reduced, we will effectively shrink all aspects of the metagame. I mean, that sentence alone, it's just it's clearly... If you told me this sentence was someone defending why Anything Goes is the best metagame of all time, I'd probably believe that. And of course, issues and concerns. Too much variety is chaos. That is literally Gen 9 Anything Goes. And of course, next, balance. When any elements of the metagame are considerably better than others, it gives an intrinsic advantage to those players who prefer or excel with the superior elements, and handicaps players who are the most proficient with those elements, with other elements. Sorry, this skews the player base, hinders the potential to develop new ideas and attract new players. In order to ensure widespread appeal, the metagame should not be unbalanced for or against any particular viable strategy or expert playing option, if it's reasonably possible to avoid. That is something that's never been achieved in a Pokemon metagame, I'd say. I'd say you can make an argument for Gen 3, but every metagame, every single metagame has... I was on the Gen 6 tab. Has like a couple Pokemon who are clearly just like you need them, or you're not really... You're kind of sabotaging yourself and not putting them in your team. Like a Gen 1, if you haven't got those 3 normal types, then like, what are you doing? You're clearly self-sabotaging. Why isn't Tauros on your team? Do you want to lose? Are you an idiot? You're dropping Tauros and Snorlax. Gen 1, not balanced, according to the definition. Oh, you dropped Snorlax? What the fuck are you doing? You're dropping Snorlax? You trolling me? Get off ladder, kid. People don't drop Snorlax and like... Balance is like... It's such an... I see it like momentum in terms of Pokemon. I think momentum is a stupid thing in Pokemon, and I don't think it's real. But you know, that's just one person's opinion. Gen 3 is probably the argument, like the argument for the most balanced metagame. But even then, you probably should have Skarmory on your team. If you don't have Skarmory on your team, or Tyranitar even, I don't know how I'm missing Tyranitar. That's the number one, that's the numero uno right there. If you don't have Tyranitar and Skarmory on your team, like, you're kind of self-sabotaging, man. Come on, figure it out. And even then, there's some other Pokemon. Metagross is probably one of the best things. What it does, it hits hard. It hits hard as fuck. Gen 4. Shit, man, you need that Latias, man. Latias. If you haven't got Latias, what the hell are you doing? You're self-sabotaging. Completely. Gen 5. Yeah. I feel like I'll talk about Gen 5. You need Latios. You got Latios and Ferrothorn on your team. You need those two, man. Latios and Ferrothorn are on every goddamn team. Ferrothorn less so, I'd say. But like, you need those guys. Every good team style, except for like Dragmag. Dragmag obviously being, I'd say, a form of hyper offense. Maybe I wouldn't say it's hyper offense, no. But like, it's still like, you need it on like most teams, man. I won't speak about Gen 6, 7, and 8 because I don't know them. And then like every Gen 9 metagame, I can actually speak on some of these. Gen 9 Anything Goes, you need Calyrex and that. Anything Goes is a terrible example in this scenario, sorry. In Gen 9 OU, you know, I haven't played the metagame in a while, so this could be very outdated, what I'm about to say. Great Tusk, King Gambit, they both need to kind of be on your team because they're both just so good at what they do. And there's nothing better at doing what they do. That was my take. Try not to... Please don't talk about that one, because I haven't played Gen 9 OU in a long time, so I can't really describe it. Overall, what I'm trying to say is... Isn't by these standards Generation 9 Anything Goes a good metagame? Or a desirable metagame? Because it really hits all of these to the extreme, I'd say. Except for maybe... We'll get there. Competitive. This is a natural thing. You want to win. Like, that's just Pokemon. Variety. It has the most variety of any tier ever, I'd say. I'd love to look at the Gen 9 Anything Goes usage ratings, but I don't want to open a new tab. Balance. Really, really debatable, but I think that it's fairly balanced metagame. Simply because of the fact that everything in the game is there. It can't go, it can't get banned, it can't be restricted anywhere except for the Calyrex Shadow thing, where you can only have one on your team. You can't even have Calyrex Shadow Rider and Calyrex Ice Rider. I might have said that in this video. The two recordings are blending together right now. What was that? Fuck, I forgot where it was. Was I still talking about variety? Because it feels like... Oh my god, dude, my brain. The most variety. Now, in theory, you can use like multiple of the same Pokemon, and that'll be kind of busted. But most people don't do that. Most people don't use multiple Pokemon. I always forget about the aspect of using multiple Pokemon on one team. In Anything Goes, even though I probably should do that. I probably should use 6 of the same Pokemon. I should use 5 bears. There's Saluna, by the way. Stability should be stable. Should have stable content that is consistent over time. That's literally Anything Goes. As I just said, everything's there. Everything is at your disposal. You can't ban it. You can't restrict it. You can't do anything like that. This is word vomit. The metagame should adhere closely as possible to the rules, mechanics, and spirit of the actual Pokemon game. That doesn't mean anything to me, quite frankly. Spirit of the Pokemon game is nothing. Skill. The best players will win. It naturally, in most metagames, like 99% of metagames, the better player will win. Luck. There's a lot of luck. There's a lot of damage rolls and shit. Efficiency. The metagame should be as efficient as possible. Execution of gameplay. Resolve the outcomes. Again, the same as skill. Why do these not apply to Gen 9 OU? You know, people think this is a bad metagame. It's a broken metagame. I don't think it's much more broken than Gen 5 was a few years back. I didn't mean to click on this team, but I guess we're here now. What was I looking for? The thing about Anything Goes, and the variety thing I was talking about, everything there being at your disposal, that leads to things having checks and counters. Did I mess up? I think I messed up earlier with OBS. It'll be fine, I read it all out loud. The thing about the things being there constantly and never changing is simply the fact that because it's around forever and these Pokemon are going to be around forever, no bans. There's going to be checks developed to everything in the metagame. That's not to say that you can check everything at once. It's to say that if you know there's going to be a certain threat, you have the opportunity, you have the chance to use something that counters it. Not every set of it, but the chance to counter it. Like, for example, Sucker Punch on a Calyrex Shadow Rider. You want to hit it with a Sucker Punch and kill it instantaneously. Kill it dead. Because it's 4 times weak to Dark, and that's going to kill. There's a great counter. It's not 100% because of Terastization, and also it could just switch. And it also has Nasty Plot to boost up, which is scary, especially against Nasty Plot. Yeah, terrifying. And you can... And that's the thing about counters and checks. They're not 100% guaranteed in anything. Because, you know, the thing about Pokemon is choice. You can pick different moves that... Yeah. I think that's all I have to say. I feel like I've said everything that I need to say here. Well, this was a short one. I intended it to be. Thanks for listening. Or watching the screen while I was talking as well would be great. Thanks. Well, bye-bye.